Welcome to the On My Workbench channel. In my last video, I talked about what could happen if the power grid or parts of the power grid went down due to COVID-19. In this video, I'm going to talk about what could happen if everyone had to go into self-quarantine. What I'll be describing here could depend on how long the COVID-19 outbreak lasts, and for what I'm reading and hearing, it could be quite a while. So after hearing how bad COVID-19 is, you and your family have decided to stay home and hunker down. As the old saying goes, the three most important things in real estate are location, location, location. And the same can be applied here. Where is your home located? Do you live in a house, apartment, or a condo? Do you live in a small, medium, or large, or very large city? Do you live in a rural or country area? Again, location, location, location. Where you live will have a significant impact on how you should prepare for hunkering down. If you live in a house, you would prepare differently than you would if you live in an apartment or a condo. And if your house is located in the country, you would prepare differently than you would if it was located in a city. You'll need to take different approaches for your hunkering down depending on where your house is located. If the infrastructure crumbles and utilities go down, a high-rise apartment building or condominium may be your tomb. It will be very difficult to defend an apartment or condominium, especially ones with indoor hallways. If the power is off, the elevators will not work, forcing you to use dark, unlit stairways and hallways. This could put you at risk of an ambush or a surprise attack from roving packs of the unprepared. If you live in an apartment building or condominium, I would highly recommend that you find a new place to live if you can. You could be trapped inside your apartment or condo and will be 100% dependent on your stored supplies. If you live in an apartment building or condominium, you must have enough food, water, cooking fuel, and medical supplies to last you a minimum of 90 days. If you live in an area with a hot summertime climate, without air conditioning, and can't open your windows, you'll be in for a long, brutal summer. If this event goes into winter and you live in an area with freezing conditions, how would you keep your supplies and family from freezing without heat? I won't go into depth on this as there are countless videos on YouTube and there are loads of books on Amazon and other online bookstores on how to prepare your house, apartment, or condo for hunkering in, or what the preppers call bugging in. If you're going to get books on the subject, I suggest that you get real books if possible. There are no batteries to go dead in real books. Unless they are destroyed by fire, they will last for years. Electronic book readers and tablets will die at some point in time. If you have to get e-books, keep in mind that you may not have electricity and may not be able to use a tablet or a Kindle to read the books. Here's a list of a few books that I have read and recommend. Links will be in the description. Beyond Collapse by T. Joseph Miller, Jr. When There Is No FEMA by Richard B. Bryant. Power Grid Down by Tara Dodrill. Lights Out by Ted Koppel. Living Without Electricity by Stephen Scott and Kenneth Pellman. And one last comment regarding condominiums and apartment buildings. Without utilities such as water and electricity, where will you go to the bathroom for 90 days or more? If you live in a multi-story apartment building or condominium, and the electricity goes out, so will the sewage lift stations nearby, and without working lift stations, the sewage won't flow. If the water is still on, and it could be for a few days because of water stored in water towers, and you live on the lower floor, watch out. If there are people hunkering in on the floors above you, and there most likely will be, and they still have water supplied by a water tower, and they are using their toilets, sinks, and showers, after the local lift station fills up, then the pipes in the building will fill up. After the building pipes are full, it will have no place to go, and if you're on the lower floors, it could come out your toilets, showers, bathtub, and sink drains. This could also happen with single-family houses located at the bottom of a hill. So you have made the decision to try to avoid exposing yourself and your family to COVID-19. So how long can you stay in your home? You know you have enough of the everyday supplies which you'll need, such as food, water, meds, so you can stay in your home for a very long time. So far, you still have electricity, water, sewage, phone, internet, and cable or satellite TV. So you have information coming in and can communicate with the outside world. If the power should go off, you have books and games for entertainment, LED flashlights, 2 portable radios, and lots of batteries. You have a generator, you have an alcohol stove and gallons of extra alcohol that you can cook, heat water, and make coffee. After coffee, what more do you need? You have been preparing for the last 10 years for a situation just like this, and you know that you have done just about everything that you could to be ready for it, and you think you are. But, and this is a very big but, is everyone else as prepared as you are? I would say no. I have read estimates that around 20% of Americans are preppers. That would be around 65,440,000. I don't believe it. I think it's much lower. I think it's closer to less than 10%, 32,720,000, at least before the COVID-19 pandemic started. Because of COVID-19, I believe that maybe 55% of the people are somewhat better prepared today than they were a month or two ago. It's this last 55% that I call the last-minute preppers, and they are only prepared for a short period of time. They were told to stock up for 2 to 4 weeks, and that's just what they did. And now they're not prepared for a long extended hunker down if they had to. And then there are those that are just too poor to buy more food. They are hoping the government will come and save them. And then we have the ones that just don't care enough to take the time to go out and stock up on food, water, and supplies. They think the government should come and save them. And then we have the last group on the list. They are the people that are just plain stupid and have no idea what's going on around them. These fall under the, I know the government will come and save me. Here's my list of the 5 groups and what percentage of the population I believe they represent. Group 1, the long-time preppers, 10%. Group 2, the last-minute preppers, 55%. Group 3, too poor to buy more food, 15%. Group 4, I don't care enough to prepare, 5%. Group 5, just plain stupid and have no idea what's going on around them, 15%. I have no data to base these numbers on other than having talked to people about prepping for years. This is my opinion for what it's worth. What happens if this thing lasts for more than 4 weeks and the stores are not open? We know groups 3, 4, and 5 will be completely out of food by then. That's 35% of the population. In 5 weeks or so, you can add those in group 2, the last-minute preppers, as they will be running out of food by then. That's another 55%. Now you have 90% of the U.S. population that will be very hungry. And when people are hungry, they get desperate. When they get desperate, they get dangerous. I believe there will still be food in the stores even 5 weeks or more into the COVID-19 pandemic. But I believe it will be very limited amounts. And what if the stores are closed, not because there's no food, but because no one's working in the stores, and the 90% can't get the food that they want when they want it? What will they do then? What will the 90% be willing to do after 5 or 6 weeks of an extended COVID-19 pandemic? And having had very little to eat, I think it could start with protests that escalate into full-blown food riots until the stores have been looted and totally cleaned out of everything. And don't forget, some of them will be raiding the liquor stores. And if you think hungry and desperate people are dangerous, just wait until they are hungry, desperate, and drunk. After the stores are cleaned out, what will the 90% do? If the COVID-19 pandemic were to last long enough, I believe some of the people from groups 2, 3, 4, and 5 would form hunter-scavenger packs that will go out looking for anyone that may still have food, and they won't be asking for it nicely. If you live in a medium to large city or town, I would suggest looking for another place to live. If you can't, then I would suggest not letting anyone, even your friends, know about your preps. When people get hungry, they get desperate. When they get desperate, they get dangerous, even friends. At this point, you need to ask yourself, what would I be willing to do to keep my kids from starving? You need to have a plan for defending yourself, your house, your supplies, and most of all, your family. I put defending yourself first because if you are injured or dead, You can't do much to defend the other three. I ask you again, what will you be willing to do to keep your kids from starving, or to keep someone from hurting, killing, or worse? And yes, there is a worse. It was inevitable that police officers throughout the country would at some point be exposed to and contract COVID-19. And now we are seeing that police officers from New York to California have been exposed to the COVID-19 virus. In Detroit, 152 police officers have been quarantined and 5 have tested positive for COVID-19. In the NYPD, 52 police officers have tested positive for COVID-19. In the Oakland, California Police Department, 1 officer has tested positive for COVID-19. In the San Jose, California Police Department, a reserve officer has tested positive, and an additional 20 reserve and full-time officers have been ordered to stay home due to possible COVID-19 exposure. In the last few days, there have been a lot of news reports about how some cities and states are releasing what they call non-violent criminals back into society to prevent or reduce the spread of COVID-19 in prisons and jails. How many times was this man let out of jail before he became a violent criminal? The police in some cities say they won't be making arrests for certain crimes during the COVID-19 pandemic, crimes such as burglary, theft, and drug charges. The plan is to detain them and determine whether or not they are a threat to the public. What could possibly go wrong with a plan like that? And then there's Bill Maher. He said something like, all the businesses are closed in America except for gun sales. So American, I'll shoot the virus. We Americans are not buying guns so we can shoot the COVID-19 virus. We are buying guns so if we have to, we can shoot the two-legged viruses that infect our cities, towns, and counties day and night. It could even be some of the same ones that are being released back into our cities and towns, and others that after hearing they won't be arrested for committing crimes will think that they have free rein to do whatever they want, whenever they want, to whoever they want, wherever they want. As this pandemic grows, we will have fewer and fewer police officers spread thinner and thinner across more and more of our cities and counties. Anyone that has ever had to call 911 knows that the police can't be everywhere all the time, and with fewer police officers on the job, it will take longer for them to respond to your 911 call. No, Bill, we Americans are not buying guns to shoot the virus. Some of us real Americans understand that we have a duty to our families to protect them, to protect our homes, and to protect ourselves. You and some of the others in Hollywood may have tall walls around your houses and big locks on the doors, but you need to remember, walls around a house and locks on the doors are there to help protect the ones on the inside, but walls and locks only buy you time. If you are not well armed and trained to protect yourself, then the time that the walls and locks buy you may not be enough time for the police to get there. Try and keep a low profile. You may have to keep the windows and curtains closed as much as you can. Try not to let light show through the curtains at night. If you have a generator, don't run it inside your house, garage, utility room, or any enclosed structure. Only run it outside, well away from windows, doors, and fresh air vents to the house. Keep in mind that generators make noise, and noise will attract people. And if people can hear your generator, they will think, what else do you have that they don't have? If you are cooking on an alcohol stove, gas stove, or a barbecue grill, do it outside. Like a generator, never use stoves or barbecue grills inside an enclosed structure. Generators and stoves can kill you and your family dead if used inside an enclosed structure, and you will be dead for a very long time. One last thing about cooking outdoors is the smell. It will go a long ways, and it could attract unwanted visitors, and the last thing you want to do is attract very hungry, desperate, and dangerous people to your house. So be very careful as to what you cook. Even the smell of wood or burning charcoal could attract unwanted visitors. It's like you are ringing a dinner bell. Please subscribe, like, comment, and click the little bell. And thanks from the On My Workbench channel.